You're now tuned into Mic Check Waifu. Polo and Tell, is that you?
Mic check. Mic check, waifu. Tell, is that you?
Yes, it is. What's up? 216 Polo.
This is episode 125 of Mic Check Waifu. As always, it's brought to you by Lube Complex. Make sure you go to lubecomplex.com and use that offer code waifu to save on your entire cart. It's also brought to you by don'ttalkshop.com. After that is coming later. So this episode we are going to be discussing a lot of things, a lot of questions that came from Twitter, as well as a show that people have been wanting us to watch and discuss. We're going to discuss it here for you today. There's a couple things I wanted to start off just off the jump. I'm going to go right over to forgetting to thank our Patreon producers because I don't have a third monitor, so everything feels weird. Let me thank our Patreon producers, which we have a new one of today to thank.
We love you already.
Thank you so much for producing this episode and many other episodes of the podcast. To start off, we got AB Aaron Brown. He got a question in there that we already answered, but apparently we're gonna answer again. Thank you so much, AB. Dre to go G. Shout out to Dre. Lisa. Shout out to Jaleesa for producing this episode of the podcast. Ked the Pro, explicitly, and Monique Williams. Oh, as well as Nachi. Heads up, guys. Everything's okay. I heard from Nachi. I talked to him. I don't know if he want me to share what's been going on, but I just want everybody to say congratulations to Nachi. Until he gives me permission to say what he had going on, just, congratulations to Nachi. I'm gonna just say that much.
Congratulations, big homie.
Shout out to you, brother. Let's talk about this episode. Now I'm only functioning with 2 monitors right now, so I gotta try to maneuver around everything as well as keep Tell pulled up on one monitor. Also have the freaking podcast recording on this monitor. It's gonna be a travesty. We got a lot of dope questions from Twitter. But before we start that, Tell, how you feeling?
Oh yeah, I'm good. It's a pretty good day. Kids been great all weekend because my wife's best friend was in town, so they were showing out for her, giving her the best time. So it's been good. I'm actually relaxed and chilled. It's just been a lot,
Yeah, that's good to hear, man. Yeah,
what's up?
She's amazing.
Yeah. Shout out to Julianne. We appreciate you.
We definitely do. It's been a long time since I've seen her talk to her, but I'm sure that'll change when I get back down to Houston. But for me right now, obviously, I took a quote unquote vacation. Yes, a vacation to Ohio.
if y'all know, Polo don't take vacations for real.
No, I had to come back and visit my family because yesterday was my niece's birthday.
I love it.
So I was up there, up here with my family, spending a bunch of time. My mom made some meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans. Best dinner I had in about years. It was so good. My niece was obviously adorable as always. She just turned 2, so happy birthday, Skylar. Yes, her name is Skylar.
Here's my speculation. Polo will take more vacations now that he lives in Texas because he's further away from family, and now he needs that time to recuperate and hang out with them. Yeah, and I'm excited for that. Because vacations, you work too hard, bro.
Yeah, the problem is that since I don't have a job now, it's easier to do. The difference is I was just working so much for a very minuscule amount of money that I don't know. But now it's a lot different. So I'm gonna be spending a lot more time visiting them whenever I can. It's just I fucking hate that drive, man. Thinking about it, I'm still exhausted from it. It took me about 21 hours, which was actually a little bit longer than it did last time, which is funny because I slept more last time on the trip down there. But for some reason, man, I fucking hate Sorry if anybody's from there, but I fucking hate Tennessee. I hate driving through that state with every fiber in my being because their driving is terrible.
They can't drive there at all.
Awful, bro. And then I fucked up the timing of it. I timed it to where I was in just one small part of rush hour for Tennessee. I can't, like, it's awful, man. It's bad. I don't like that. I don't like that state. Anyway, let's talk some anime. This is an anime podcast after all. We are here to discuss anime. So there was a lot of hubbubaloo about a show that everybody wanted us to watch. So I'm gonna go over to 2 questions that we have, actually. One being from someone who's new to writing questions on the Twitter, and this time I didn't bookmark them because I'm a doofus.
It'd be like that sometimes.
Here it is. It's from see, I'm gonna say Frozen Paradise is spelled with a PH though. I kind of like that. He says, need a take about how ranking the Kings is so slept on. And then to follow that up real quickly by at Dad Needs to Talk. Shout out to Dad Needs to Talk podcast. Make sure y'all go check them out. He said, are y'all going to check out Rankings of Kings? It's my sleeper of the season. I would love it if you guys at least checked out a few episodes. So we did. We heard so much about it that we did. What are your initial thoughts?
I have another thought I'm going to give after this because I don't want to dive too deep into it. But surface level, looking at it, I thought it was going to be something kind of goofy, not kind of serious at all. But I do find it interesting in some way. It's like where this may go, what the world is like, that kind of stuff. But it does seem pretty interesting in general. Like this, it seems like it could have a pretty deep story if they take it the right way. Yeah.
It's endearing. I love the influence of Western cartoons, actually, or Eastern cartoons, I should say. Yeah, we're East, right? Yeah, Eastern cartoons, like the Disney kind of like old school Disney art style that it has to it. That's a very interesting and unique take. The story is, I mean, it's interesting because it's essentially a metaphorical children's book, essentially, through and through. It's fine. I like it a lot. It is very slept on because it is good, but it's not. I don't think it's yet. Anyway, I don't think it's like a 86 shocking or Astro Lost in Space shocking.
Yeah, I'm not gonna say it's that good, but I would have chosen this as my sleeper over Build Divide 100%.
Yeah, that was a huge mistake.
I'd be like 5 times over. I would have chosen this over Build Divide. But
100%.
With the final episode that came out, the 4th episode, I do think whatever happens next has to be somewhat interesting with how they kind of did things, you know?
Yeah, I agree. It's a lot. It's rather intense, actually, because it's super weird and super awkward situation to be in when you're an actual kid. But yeah. I like it. I do like it though. It is good.
Do we plan on going into any detail on this at all, or we
can. Sure. All right. If y'all want. I mean, spoilers for Ranking of Kings, but we're gonna try to stay as general as possible, if possible.
I think Polo and I both agree that, and I mean, I'm not gonna say it's a guaranteed thing that we like, but I think we like main characters or characters who are just not at the start overwhelmingly strong, where they're just like overpowered, and it kind of dampens the story a bit,
right?
Unless it's done extremely well.
It has to be done well.
Yeah, I love seeing a character actually grow. And I feel like we're in that predicament where a character who is like somewhat underpowered, kind of like Deku. Like I enjoy seeing Deku actually get stronger. And the only issue with My Hero is that their animation adaptation is kind of trash. But the idea of a character being weak, which is how people start off, and becoming strong, which is how people end up, is an idea that I just think is much more realistic and is something I would rather see in anime than something like Goku, who's just overpowered and is always going to be the guy in the end who wins somehow. Because our main character doesn't seem like a winner in this series, and that's, I hate to say it's not enjoyable, but it's relatable, because you're not going to win everything and you're not going to be the best for every scenario, but you are going to sometimes have to do your best and apply what you can to what you can do. Like, for instance, that fighting scene when they had, like, with the brother. Mm-hmm. I thought that was amazing, because it was like, he has to kind of almost do what Kuroko does and use that presence of being a hider to use to his ability to duck and dodge. It suits him. That's his style. Yeah. So
that was kind of special. Nothing really bothers me about the show. I love the way it looks. I like the way it moves. For some reason, I'm just not as, I guess, captivated as a lot of other people. It's good though. It's a really good show. Definitely slept on it. If the art style is what's turning you off of it, don't let it, because again, it's based off that Eastern Disney, old school Disney kind of, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs original cartoon vibe, which is pretty dope. I like that a lot. I do think it's suffering because of that though, as far as like watchability for a lot of people, because when you see this, when you see this from, because we use AniList.co for all of our like anime, lists and what's coming out soon and what we're watching, and kind of keep track of what we're watching and stuff. But once you see it, the cover of it, you're like, nah, you would say that. But again, it's not an Astro Lost in Space quality kind of anime, but so far it's real good. It's definitely good. So, and I guess in repairs of our list not having this last week, I do think it's something that you should probably watch. I think it'll be better binged, to be honest, even though like it's not a bad cliffhanger situation like Platinum Man is, but it is like, it's just something that you'll probably benefit from just watching it straight through. So let it finish and then watch it. But I can understand definitely why it could be people's sleeper. And probably why it should have been Tail sleeper. To be honest with you though, I still don't think it's better than Blue Period. No,
I'm not gonna say it's better than Blue Period either.
Yeah, so I do think it's good though. Definitely worth a watch for sure. It is definitely slept on. You got any other thoughts about it?
No, I'm just gonna keep watching it.
Yeah, for sure.
Obviously, I enjoyed it. I'm not gonna say I'm 100% captivated, but it's done enough to be added to like my weekly watch list now. Yeah. Like I do agree with Polo 100% though. It wouldn't be bad to just binge the whole thing through, because watching those 4 episodes in a row that we did have was pretty enjoyable, to not have to wait until the next week to watch and then just kind of get involved in that story a bit. Right. So yeah.
Yeah. One thing I don't like is I don't like the what is that? I guess the what's the word I'm looking for? Creatures of the world. I don't like the little
the Shadow Clan dude.
Yeah, the Shadow Clan. Like, it's not even that he's a bad person or a bad character or anything like that. I just don't like the way they went about
the design.
The design of it. So
what I did think about that, which was pretty interesting, is like, is that like a regular human, but they have a different like body size style or something like that? Like that, I don't think that was explained very well. So we don't know like if that is just considered a human, but they have a different body type, or
exactly. It's a little weird, very weird, but again, unique enough.
Yeah.
That sends me to this next question. This one comes from actually Semi Sensei, who's been literally coming from episode 1 of the podcast. He said he's on like, I think last we checked episode like 75 or something like that. So he's going all the way through. So it's probably going to be like a year before he hears this episode. But he says, I know I'm late, but Polo, have you seen Baby Steps, the tennis anime? Also, have y'all watched Slam Dunk? I recently listened to the episode where y'all talked about not liking Ice Shield 21, which was years ago. Yeah, I'm not to answer your question, no, I haven't. I'm not a big sports anime watcher at all, period, which I'm sure when you listen that far back, I've mentioned that plenty of times in the previous episodes. But Haikyuu was literally the show that made me like at least that one, at least one sports anime. I haven't, and obviously Hajime no Ippo too is one of the best. Season 1, season 2 should have never existed, but season 1 absolutely is also one of the best sports animes of all time for sure. No, I haven't seen Baby's Tennis. I probably won't. I'm just not into sports anime like that at all.
Yeah, I've heard about Baby Steps, but I'm not gonna watch that. I'm just gonna be honest with you. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, sorry, Simi.
If it's really good, like if you hit us up and say, "Yo, this is really good," I'll probably give it a go. Polo most likely won't, but it's just let me know if you think it's that good to watch. I might give it a go.
Yeah, and that goes to something I wanted. Like, what does it take for a sports anime to for you to be like, yeah, I'm gonna watch this? I know you don't really have a problem with it. But I was thinking of that myself, like, what would it take for me to just be like, oh, I'm gonna watch this?
Well,
what you say?
I'm not like, I really don't know, honestly. It's the character development, because it's how the character gets involved with that sport, right?
Yeah.
Because if you look at like Kuroko no Basket, Hajime no Ippo, Haikyuu, right? With Kuroko no Basket and Haikyuu, they kind of come into the same thing where the character is already good, but they need development, right? Kuroko, much less development. He was more like an unknown superstar who kind of took off.
Yeah.
Haikyuu, our character was good, had raw talent, but needed to be like kind of refined.
Yeah.
So Haikyuu did that extremely well, but also introduced the outside cast of characters extremely well as well.
100%.
So like the team felt like a team and a family, and they kind of stacked the pieces very well, explained the sport very well. Kuroko no Basket did a similar thing where the team felt like a united team, but there was still like a focal point where the rest of the team wasn't always that important. It was mostly Kuroko and Kagami.
Yeah.
Ippo just had really good development. Like the character was just a nobody who didn't want to be a nobody anymore.
Right.
So, and it's not that he didn't want to be a nobody, because he didn't care to be a nobody. He just wanted to be able to defend himself, and he found a passion in something.
Yeah.
And I think that's probably what it is. If the character shows passion, but isn't like unreasonable passion, I guess is how I would say.
Yeah. Everything you just said, I 100% agree with. Like, it has to have that depth when it comes to the character development, right? Like, it has to be deeper than the surface of the sport for me to even consider watching it. Because I think the surface of the sport is very, like, what I learned from watching Haikyuu is that, like, I could like this because I had no fucking idea about volleyball whatsoever. Zero. Right. Zilch. But the show does such a great job of introducing us who don't know anything about volleyball to volleyball, and it made it so digestible. And then with the character, like you discussed with the characters on top of that being so relatable, I wanted to be a part of it ever since. Like, we still haven't got to finishing the most recent season, unfortunately, right. Which is something we're gonna get to eventually, but I just needed it to be dubbed. Because I love that dub so much. It's a really, 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 really good dub, and the cast is phenomenal. That's just one where I'm like, I had to go back to my roots and just stick to the dub for that one. So
I'm not gonna argue with that. Like I watched it sub, but I'm not gonna argue with that. It did have very good dub actors. Yeah,
really, really, really good talent when it came to that dub. So I think it's highly worth watching. If you haven't watched Haikyuu, Panda's gonna enjoy that. But you should definitely watch it.
Take my spot.
Let's see. Yeah, Aaron Brown says, I know it might be too late, but what would your ideal anime video game look like? Which series and what kind of game would it be? Yeah, we talked about this actually multiple times. So what kind of anime game would we like, and what kind of series would it be? I can't even remember what I said.
Grimgar.
Yeah, it had to be something like that. Probably an RPG like Grimgar, but more like Grimgar where it's extremely hard. Mm-hmm. Kind of like a Dark Souls MMO like kind of thing.
Right.
That'd be sick.
You gotta actually learn your talents and apply them properly, or else you won't win.
Yeah.
I actually think I would like something like an Astro Lost in Space game where
I think we did say that one time.
A discovery game where you try and make your way home, like a survival game. We like survival games. I would love something like that.
Facts. I want to. Should I say this? It's a question that Ked the Pro said. Ked also had a question, but in the statement, I don't know if I should say it though.
What do you say?
It's about 86.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I don't know if it's spoilers to say it, but
I mean, maybe we save it for 86 talk.
Yeah, we'll do that. God, that show, man. What was your episode of the week? What was your show of the week this week?
I had a hard time with episode of the week.
Did you? Like choosing which one? Because
86, I think, is very deserving of episode of the week because of what I saw.
Fire.
But I also Banished from the Hero's Party.
Yes.
That last episode, I was like, and it was like almost all flashback, but it was crazy seeing like Rit and like his sister, and I'm just like, all of this information that we got, and it was done so well.
Yeah.
It was just done so, like, we had that beginning of the episode, and then it like kind of like just went off into this whole separate tangent.
Yes.
It was like, oh, all these people want her hand in marriage or want this and want to do this, and it was like, boom, this is how they met, and this is the story behind it. And then it was like, boom, this is Rit's sister Rudy, and this is what's going on. I was like, what? It was so good, bro.
Oh my God, dude. You always do this to me. It throws me off. But for me, because I didn't even think about how good that episode was, because the way I watched this week's anime, 86 and the World's Finest Assassin, bro. That episode was so good too. To just see how he's maneuvering and about to get that knight. It's bro. But Banished from a Hero's Party was up there too. I'm going to have to say World's Finest Assassin this week for me though. Even though Banished is definitely close. All three of those shows killed it this week.
Yeah. 86 had so much going on. It was like, and I really want to talk about that. That 86 episode to me, I feel like deserves some definite talking about, because what the fuck?
We got to go deeper into that. Yeah, we're going to do that in the second half of the show. Obviously, for those who haven't watched 86, Crystal and others, 86 is special. But I mean, I can't go a week without mentioning how good Jobless Reincarnation was with that reunion. That shit was special. It was again.
That was another one. I personally, if I had to go my episodes of the week, I'm stuck between 86 and Banished, but I'm putting Jobless Reincarnation at like a guaranteed third, because that the way that Rudy and his father handled that was,
yes.
I was
Chef's
like,
kiss.
come on, bro. they fucking with me at this point.
Oh man, I gotta say this. This is very, very important to me. Obviously, Ash. Okay, Ash, who is the creator of the Black Anime Podcast website, which culminates all of the Black Anime podcasts onto one website, like a directory of sorts. And he also does his own Mecha Pack podcast. He says, if we can work out the time zone differences, because he's in England, I would like to throw my do-rag into the ring. Now I'm messing with y'all, but y'all are one of the best dynamic duos in anime podcasting. And he said that because Till fucking replied to our question tweet and said, what comes after a mic check? Like, we haven't been doing this for 2.5 years. But it's pretty funny, because I tweeted, anyone want to be my new co-host, because I'm looking for a new one, as a joke. And it's funny because we actually got some responses to that.
Hold on, fucking me.
Yo, that was hilarious. I was not expecting people to be like, hey, what's up? I'll do it. He said we one of the best dynamic duos in podcasting though. I mean, you got Blanime though. Blanime's up there too.
Hey, it's all energy and it's all love, and I appreciate that though.
Yeah, like, for sure, Ash, for sure.
That's all we trying to do, is come on here and have y'all have a good time with us.
Absolutely. What I want is I want to seriously find a way to get him on the podcast though. I think it'll be an incredible episode to have somebody who is mecha inclined to come talk mecha anime. Like, I think it'll be incredible. Especially around the time 86 get done, though. We got to make that work.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
We might have to make that work, Ash, for sure. For sure. Okay, so here's Cat the Pro's real question. He says, do you think there's something nefarious about the goddess in the world's finest assassin? Does she have an ulterior motive? Also, do you guys enjoy our music roundtable discussions on chaotic culture? We got a new one coming out this week. Make sure y'all check out the Chaotic Culture podcast. It's spelled KH-otic and then _culture with a K. Follow them on Twitter. It's a dope podcast. And they do these music roundtable discussions. That's incredible. And the fact that Cad does it mostly solo always has my respect. Like him, Jamal, and I wonder what happened to Anime and Chill, but he needs to come back too. They do some amazing work solo. It's in the anime podcasting community. So make sure y'all check them out. But yeah. So do you think it's something nefarious about the goddess in the world's finest assassin?
So I can kind of picture what the motive is in my mind, and I'm not 100% sure, obviously, because I don't know what it is.
Right.
But I don't think she is nefarious. I think that there's a reason. I think that a hero with a ton of power can be led astray or something like that. And they may be someone who is doing good, but could be switched and changed into doing something bad for the wrong reasons or good for the wrong reasons, that kind of thing. But I'm not sure. I really don't know. I don't think she inherently has any negative intentions, because everything she's done so far, all she's done is ask people to come here and kill the hero in a certain amount of time.
Right.
Have they succeeded? People she's grabbed are failing. Maybe she's just trying to get warriors to gather in her world for whatever purpose, right? But it doesn't seem nefarious outright to me. If anything, it's just gods being gods.
I completely see nothing nefarious about it at all. And I'm gonna say, because for me, I do feel like the way this show is established is that the goddess seems to have, like, she seemed to be blunt enough or honest enough, because she's a goddess. Like, you can't be a liar, right? To be blunt enough to say, hey, she said when she first got there, he was asking all the right questions to her. Like, okay, you want me to do this? Why exactly? And she said in the future, because she obviously has the power of premonition, assumingly so, that he's going to basically ruin the entire world after he gets done dealing with the demon army. Essentially what she said. So with her saying that, I do think she's literally just trying to get that done. And the problem is the people that she brought before just are failing so miserably that it would make sense for her to go the assassin route and bring the world's finest assassin. And again, our guy seems to be the guy that's making it work. So I don't think it's nothing quite nefarious about it. I do believe that what she says is the truth when it comes to what she's trying to accomplish, and what she said about the hero being basically the calamity, or going to be the calamity of the world. I think that's important to keep in mind when watching that show. But good question, Kat. Good question, bro.
For sure.
You okay up there? I was moving. I played that shit all smooth. So
I saw you look away. I was like, let's go, Polo, smooth in the mug.
So people watching the video version, y'all gonna see it, but Tell was having trouble with his microphone. So I was kind of vamping a little bit in that last section. I'm gonna keep it out.
I appreciate you.
I'm gonna keep all that in there.
Polo, it's not Polo born fly. It's Polo, I made you born fly, because he's a god himself. I appreciate that.
Stop it. The homie Fujimaro, twitch.tv/Fujimaro. Make sure you go follow him on Twitch. He says, if you can pilot any mech, what would it be and why?
Burning Gundam.
For me, it's going to be, I don't know what they call the mechs in Darling in the Franxx, but it's going to be the one.
You call it Franks.
Oh, duh. I'm going to be the Darling in the Franxx. So that'll be the one I would want to pilot.
Oh, man, you funny.
Obviously. 02 is waifu.
Sure.
Another guy, I don't know what the fuck is his Twitter at. Oh, King Teliano fucking asked the question, what comes after mic check?
Waifu, Polo, Born Fly. Is that you? I want to do that.
The homie Abe, he says, how are y'all enjoying? Oh shit, I should have put this with that. How are y'all enjoying King's Ranking? We already answered that. And he says, and where does it currently sit for the fall anime season? Ooh, where does it currently sit? If you take a look at our list last week, I will probably put this like 5th.
That's a solid placing.
Yeah.
But because technically that means it takes over a couple spots from some of the other stuff we watched.
Remove Platinum Man and put this in there for me.
For sure. 100%. We both agree on that, obviously.
So that'll be the route we're going to take for that one. And he says, take your 3 favorite athletes, any sport. What anime do you think would represent them?
Okay. So Vince Carter.
Mm-hmm. That's literally been his favorite athlete forever. He used to try to play like him back in the day in my driveway. It's great. Sounds really good.
I couldn't jump that high.
No, but you were moving.
Yeah.
Because Vince Carter always been fast and yeah.
Vince Carter, we're going to say Donovan McNabb. Don't make that face.
I didn't make a face. I didn't make a face.
I saw that face.
No, not at all. This is all stuff I already knew.
And Muhammad Ali. And you say, what is it, a video game? Or what anime will represent them properly?
Yeah.
None of them, because they 3 different sports.
100%. I don't know how to answer that. Any sport, what anime do you think would represent them? I don't know.
The Olympics. Olympic sport. Anime.
Yeah, I have no idea how to answer that.
What's your three top athletes, your 3 favorites?
Great question. I don't know.
If I had to remove one, I'd add Irgio Adesanya, but that was it. That's it.
Yeah. I don't really have favorite athletes, to be honest, because I never really cared about it. I do love, I did love when Derrick Rose was in his prime. I did love Chicago Derrick Rose, but he was never my favorite. You know,
but Derrick Rose was like he was low key like a second coming if he didn't get hurt.
Yep.
Dude was actually really good. And I hate watching sports on TV because I'd much rather either see them in person or play them. But Derrick Rose is a whole nother thing. He was crazy.
A whole nother level. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really have many favorite athletes, so I can't answer that. And I'm sorry. Also, we're from Cleveland. None of us said LeBron, so just know we not biased like that. Yeah, and I don't do like LeBron's great, obviously, but he's not my favorite. And that kind of goes well with this other question that I had that I should have bookmarked it because I wanted to try to put them in order. But Scuba Steve says, if you had to get rid of one sport, which one would it be? Cleveland Browns or the Cleveland Cavaliers, or one team, Cleveland Browns or Cleveland Cavaliers? Cavaliers. Even though they're better this year. Like they actually are good this year. Cleveland has always been a football town, like through and through. Yes. Yeah. Yes, we had the largest parade in sports history when the Cleveland Cavaliers won the championship. But if the Browns win, there's going to be fucking statues of the entire team everywhere because it's always been a football team. It's town.
And I'm a much bigger football fan. I grew up playing all sports, but like if I had to choose to watch one, I'm going to prefer to watch basketball. But if I want to play one, I feel like football is just my thing. And I loved playing football. Like that's the sport, man. Yeah. That shit is golden. It's a gladiator sport, and that I like contact sports. Yeah. And football is it.
Basketball gets so fucking boring to me. Especially nowadays because it's just nothing but spot shooters. So I don't really care about it as much as I do football. Football takes, to me personally, so much more skill to like in a team setting to execute play. It's not just, you give the ball to one person who can shoot a 3 when he's open and they shoot a 3. That's all it is nowadays. Right. Which is fucking boring to watch. So football.
Talk about being a safety with points on the board, man. That was me. I was the safety with points on the board. That feels good, man.
Yeah, like watching corner play is amazing. Like I wasn't good when I played football because I was just so small, but it just playing it and watching it is just so much more entertaining to me. If we playing street football, it's a little bit different, a little bit different. They used to put me in cornerback, and I fucking hated cornerback.
Also, I wanted to say, Polo. Did you see that picture of Steve I posted on Twitter?
I did not.
He posted this picture on Instagram of himself, and he looked like this new rapper DDG.
I don't know who it is.
I know. I had to share it side by side. It looked like Steve for real. if Steve didn't have a beard, I was like, bro, what's going on here? Why do you look this way? Why do you look like you're an up and coming rapper?
Look like an up and coming rapper. No, Steve. No.
Did you see his hair?
Yeah. Oh my God. They look just like, what the fuck is going on here?
Unless Steve got some kids he ain't talked to us about.
Whole time.
That's Steve in disguise. Steve a vampire.
There's one question I want to use as like a formal topic. So I'm gonna ask that last. But let's see here. We do still got another one. I believe Rob J had one. Rob J always bring the heats. The heats. He said he asks, is it too late?
No.
I said no.
Well, now it is.
Now actually no, he didn't ask the question.
Uh-oh.
Oh
Now
shit, Rob.
It's too late, Rob J.
Damn, he be having the heat too.
We got you next week, bro.
If I missed your question, let me know. But I feel like I don't know why he didn't ask when I responded. Okay. Anyway. Oh, he's okay. Captain Pro says not a question, but 86 once again proving it's to be superior. Also, yeah, I'm not gonna say. Yeah, wait.
Yeah, that's.
Oh wait, I'll say that last part. I think we already answered that. We answered that.
What's the topic question, Polo?
The final question, which is going to be the topic.
Final countdown.
The final question is going to be. It's from Anime Shin's show, which is awesome because it's apparently a new podcast that's dropped. Their question is: one of our hosts is getting into anime. What are the best starter anime for noobs? Great question. Best starter anime for noobs is one me and Till both are always going to say forever for the rest of our lives. Now that this happened, is Astro Lost in Space. I think
easy
by far and away. It's so easy to understand exactly what's going on because it's a mystery. And it's getting dark outside, so I gotta fix my aperture on my camera. But it's extremely easy to get into, for sure. Like from the moment you watch, you like, oh shit, what's happening? And that goes into a conversation that I had with my brother yesterday. Is he started watching Demon Slayer? He said he got to episode 17. He thinks the show is incredible. And I asked him the question of, because their water sword techniques aren't real, does that change? When I explained it to him, like, does that change how you feel about the show? He said, hell no.
Right.
Because it doesn't. Sorry, I just had to throw that little anecdote in there.
Why does it matter?
It doesn't. It's a technique. It's metaphorical. Fools. Anyway, what do you think is another good anime for noobs?
Another good starter anime.
Let's give them a top 5. One from each of us. Not really a top 5, but 5 anime.
I feel like one of my all-time favorite perfections for anime, I'm gonna go with Full Metal Alchemist.
Really? For noobs?
As a starter. Yeah. Not Brotherhood. Mostly because Brotherhood skips past a lot of the opening stuff. But I like Full Metal Alchemist because it bridges between like a battle shonen and then like actual story development and plot and stuff like that.
Interesting.
So there's still fighting, there's still progression. So yeah. I
guess they do an extremely good job of the explanation of the world, like damn near the intro of the show. So that may actually be a pretty good one. I thought it would be a little convoluted.
I think that's a little bit too difficult for a newbie.
I guess it depends on kind of TV they like, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think something like we already got Astro Lost in Space, Full Metal. Let's say, damn, I don't have my third monitor. This fucking sucks. Let's see here. You know what? I'm gonna say it. Fuck it. My Hero, I think, would be pretty good. Everybody understands superheroes, right? Like, you understand what superheroes is. The first episode, they do an extremely good job of explaining the world and what quirks are and how quirks came about. Literally in the first episode. So I think My Hero was a great one for a newbie. Even though later seasons aren't as good, I still think if you watch it from the beginning, they would enjoy it for sure. That's 3.
Sheesh.
This is tougher than I thought, huh?
Yeah. So, hear me out.
I'm listening.
You see me bashing this one on the timeline sometimes, but I really do enjoy it. And I'm going to say Hunter x Hunter. Mostly because the character development can be good for a lot of these characters. And it's a long enough series to where you kind of get involved with what's going on in it. Mm-hmm. So Hunter x Hunter would be one that I throw my hat in the ring for. Unfortunately,
I agree.
It's easy.
It's approachable.
It's easy to understand. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Very, very approachable. I mean, it's not that we hate it. We don't hate it. It's good. But it ain't great. And I'm gonna continue to say that. I'm gonna forever throw this out there. And I know this definitely won't be for everybody, especially if you're new to anime. It may be just a tad bit confusing, but I do think the movie Your Name is something extremely, because it can be confusing because if you don't understand quite what anime goes for, but it's beautiful, it's pretty to look at.
I actually don't think that's confusing at all.
You don't think so?
My wife loved Your Name, cried on Your Name.
There you go. I think Your Name is an easy one to just like, damn, this is the emotion anime can bring on. Because I wouldn't say anything like Clannad, right? Clannad is way too, if you don't understand the supernatural slice of life aspect of Clannad, you would be like, well, what the fuck is going on here? You'd be a little confused. So going into Clannad with a little bit of knowledge will be better. So I think to remedy that, something like Your Name, where it still has that supernatural aspect on top of the slice of life, I think will kind of ease you into that. And then I can recommend Death to Your Heart. And so by making you watch Clannad. So I think Your Name is a good one for the fifth last one? Is that the last one?
Sir. Yes,
hey,
sir.
Let's go. Let's go.
We gave you a list for starters.
That's just I might check waifu starter pack.
Right now. We're going to change it in the future.
Yeah,
we got to do some deliberation.
some proper thought behind it. But thank you, Animation. And make sure y'all go follow him on Twitter. Animation Show. For sure. Thanks for that question. That's a good question. Okay. Yeah, I'm definitely about to check out that podcast, by the way.
For sure. I'm on there too. not on there. I'm on there listening,
Yeah. I'm super intrigued by having an anime podcast with somebody who's new in anime. That's a great idea.
Well, you had that idea. Remember, you said you would love to do that with Javon.
Yeah, like an episode, but they have an entire show. So
yeah,
I think that's special. Oh no, I almost forgot Shanti. No way, I'm forgetting Shanti. Shanti, you can only choose 3 anime and manga to read for the rest of your life. What are you choosing? And why?
You go first on this one.
You only have 3 manga or anime to. Of course, I'm gonna put One Piece to be the manga. I'm never like I'm. Oh, it's or so I'm gonna do One Piece because One Piece is endless entertainment. So I'm gonna throw that in there.
Literally, because it's still going.
It's still going. So it's gonna be endless entertainment. Come on, Shanti, this is a tough one. Killing me, girl. Shit. say Brotherhood, man. And it's because it's a show I think I need for the rest of my life. I need to be able to go back to Full Metal. And then finally, Clannad, obviously.
Yeah. So my list is actually very similar to Polo's, but Polo actually changed my list a little bit with that One Piece statement. So I'm gonna put One Piece manga on there because it makes sense, man. I did actually think about that. It's still going, bro. It's been going for 20 plus years.
It ain't gonna never end.
So One Piece makes sense because at least I still got something going forever.
Yeah. Yep.
Twin Star Exorcist.
Ooh, yeah, of course. The manga specifically.
Yeah, the manga, no anime. And then I'm also gonna go with Full Metal.
Yeah, you got to.
And I think I'm gonna go with Brotherhood too. Like I love the regular Full Metal Alchemist in general. I want y'all to know that. And it probably is my favorite of the two. But Brotherhood just does a better job of doing things.
Over Brother, that's wild to me.
Mostly because Brotherhood skips a lot of the intro stuff.
Yeah, but that's okay, I guess. But you have to watch the. Yeah, I understand. Because the intro stuff is extremely important to the series as a whole. You're right. Valid point. All right. Let's get to know Mic Check Waifu. This is a part of the show where we get to know our hosts. It's my turn to roll a random. No. Actually, no. It's Tayl's turn to roll a random number generator. My turn to roll. I just remembered to read the question. So Tayl's going to roll a random number. I'm going to read a question associated with that number, and we're going to answer it for you today. And you're going to get to know us a little bit better.
Sweet 16.
The number is 16. So the question is, have you ever watched an entire anime in one sitting?
Yes.
Hundreds of times. Yes. I did that with, which one you did that with?
I'm trying to think, bro. There's a couple of them.
I did that with the Castlevania series.
Okay. What was it? I know it was one recently too. Sheesh, what did I just watch recently? Kobayashi-san, the Dragon Maid.
Oh, you watched that whole thing in one sitting? Damn.
Season 1.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I watched that all in one sitting. That was 3 weeks ago.
Grimgar, I watched in one sitting.
Same.
I couldn't turn that shit off.
And I think Noragami I watched in one sitting.
Noragami, I think I did that too. Oh, you know what else? Future Diary.
Mm-hmm.
I watched that in one sitting as well. Good question.
Guess what I didn't watch in Inuyasha because you shouldn't watch it.
What?
Inuyasha.
Trash.
Don't watch it. Turn it off.
I don't even know
why it starts.
I don't even know why you mentioned that shit. When we come back, we're going to spoil a couple of shows. The shows we're going to spoil is 86, Platinum Man, I guess, maybe not, Jobless Reincarnation, and whatever else. Blue Period, duh. We'll be right back after these. welcome back to Mic Check Waifu in the daytime. This is weird. We're recording when the sun is still out. Very strange for us because we're recording on a Monday.
Maybe it's because we're on the platinum end of the day.
Speaking of platinum end of the day, we're not going to talk about platinum end because platinum end ain't worth talking about. No, we are going to say this. Generally speaking, it was a better episode than it was the previous weeks. We finally got out that fucking stadium. Got a little bit of death, but we finally figured out how he's going to get his Power Ranger costume, which, again, this show is fucking stupid. I'm not going to hold you. It's fucking dumb. The guy, one of the angels just happened to be a fucking costume designer. Like, come the fuck on. I'm kind of over it.
Polo is my bro, because I swear to God, I was like, this is okay as fuck.
Yeah.
And it's slowly approaching not being okay. But it's okay as fuck.
It's just okay as fuck.
Oh man,
very much so.
And for the people who were like, "Oh, this episode was so much better. It was amazing." I don't see the intrigue, and it's cool. It's cool. I ain't trying to like thrash y'all or nothing because
it's fine.
You like what you like. We everyone's different, and even Polo and I, we have very differing taste on anime, but we agree on this one that this is not that impressive right now.
Oh, yeah, I agree.
Maybe next year in the spring or winter season it's gonna be good, but we'll see. It's got time to
speak
develop.
to me, Toe. You were on. Speaking of this conversation, we got invited to Anime After Dark Clubhouse. Shout out to Anime Podcast and Word Generation Podcast. Until you got to speak on our thoughts on it because me and you feel similarly about it, and they asked us to join. I obviously couldn't make it, unfortunately, because I was getting ready for this trip, but. What were some of your talking points, which you can obviously listen on Anime Podcast and Worst Generation Podcast feeds when it goes live. But Tell, why don't you share with our listeners?
So part of the question was the fact that like, when is Anime of the Year talk relevant? Like, when should you start talking about Anime of the Year? And I think realistically, it depends on the experience, right? Like Polo and I, other anime podcasters might have a lot more experience on anime in general. So if you see something in January that's just really high quality, then we can say this might be in the list of Anime of the Year. But we're not going to say it's definitely in that list yet.
Right.
But we can say this is quality enough that it might be Anime of the Year. Like when we saw 86 and Vivi, we were like already in contention. This is definitely going to be in the list of Anime of the Year. But I'm not making that list until closer to the fall season because we need that fall anime to drop before we put it in that list, right? Because now we have the finishing of 86. We have some anime that haven't been spoken of yet this season, like Blue Period, which is very good. And, just Remake Our Life wasn't talked about until, last season. There's just so many different anime this year that came out, and depending on when they come out is when it's going to be held in contention for that. So basically that was kind of like my point. It's based on experience. Like we can put some stuff out there, but I'm not making that list until fall season. So most of the fall anime dropped in September or early October. So I would say probably about the middle of October is when I'm putting that list together of Anime of the Year.
So for me, I'm a slightly different, and I'm slightly different because I know how the seasons work. I don't think we should start talking about Anime of the Year until we get past the midway point in winter, because winter is still a part of the year. So all the way from December all the way up until I think the mid-aughts of January, I don't think you can really say what Anime of the Year is until you finish whatever came out during the winter time, because you have situations like, I think it was Jujutsu Kaisen, right? Where it came out in 2020, but it kind of followed through mostly through 2021.
Well, I think winter doesn't start until next year. So like if you type in winter 2021 and any list, it's the beginning of the year, like January time frame.
Is that how they do that?
Yeah. So that's why winter is technically next year. So winter 2022 is technically starting next year. It doesn't count for, like, if you type in winter 2021, it's going to be the beginning of January.
So when I do winter, let's search. Okay. So winter 2021, Horimiya drops. Oh, I see. Okay. Okay, so it's referring to last year. You're right. Okay.
Yeah, like we saw Attack on Titan, which technically was 2020, but like that was the very tail end. And then, like what is this? Horimiya 2021.
So you
Promised Neverland 2021. Dr. Stone 2021.
So you would start talking. So if I do winter, I'm a part 2 of.
Yeah, like even Jobless Reincarnation is winter 2021.
I see. So okay, I got you. So yeah, maybe the end of towards the tail end of fall then, right?
Yeah, that's why I made that statement, was because that season, that part of the season doesn't really count for
Copy that.
us.
Copy that. Okay. Shoot, yeah. Which we should probably start gathering the odds for that episode, because that's going to be a special one. I mean, everybody's going to already know what ours is going to be, but we still got to do it formally, right?
For sure.
We got to get with Lee to make sure we get that done too. Anyway, yeah, it's good stuff, man. Good stuff. I do think that's an interesting topic to have. I wish I would have made it to that one too, but I just couldn't. I had to pack and sleep and do all the other good stuff. So yeah. And
also, I think it would have been dope if you made it, because Polo tends to round out a lot of my ideas. Like I have pretty good ideas.
Of course.
There's always a check and balance, right? So like if Polo has an idea and I'm like, this is my idea is going to balance out his, and his idea is going to balance out mine. Yes. So it would have been dope to have both of us on there, but
yeah, I know.
Somebody had to represent for Mic Check Waifu.
And I appreciate you making it to that, brother. I really do. The next thing we're going to actually spoil though. Platinum End is just not that good for us. It's not even close to the top 5. So let's go ahead and spoil. 86, man. Let's do it. Man, oh man. It's so much. It's a lot. What did you think overarching?
Overall, the episode was, like I said, definitely an amazing episode. One of my favorite episodes, just for contextual reasons.
Yes, man.
Oh my God. But there was just moments in the episode that were just so overwhelming for what's going on. Like it starts off with, what is it, the Confederacy?
Mm-hmm.
At war with the Legion getting blown back.
No, that's the Republic. Sorry.
The Republic. Yeah, the Republic is over there fighting, and we see the captain or whatever her name is. We see her over there, and she's ordering the attack. And you see signs on the wall, stay away 86. Like, first of all, you're about to die. Why is that what you're thinking? You're about to die. And then when they go into the war room to talk, you see there's only 3 people talking, and none of them are from the Republic.
Right.
And it's just like, oh my God.
They failed how we both obviously knew that they were going to fail, because of the way they act and the way they move and the way they operated. Like no one of the outside world or in the Republic knew about the, I guess you could say, travesty that was going on in that homeland. Like, obviously they just used 86 and they called them autonomous vehicles or whatever the fuck. Processors and shit to just make them seem a lot less human than others, which means that the fact that 86 still fought for them, even with all that, is fucking crazy to me, because they should have just let them fucking die, to be honest. But I'm glad they didn't. Major, it's not looking good for the Major, to be honest. She's do you think she's a part of the Legion? Because we did hear her during this episode.
And that's what scared me.
Yeah,
and
same.
I hate that, because he was having that overwhelming feeling, right? Where he was seeing that little girl, but then she said, you hear that, I will not forget. And he hears it in her voice, and he kind of gets that like teary eyed scenario. And I'm just like, oh, I think she dead, bro. But like, they've played us before.
Yeah, 100%.
And
I think she escaped.
I do. Right. I think she escaped, but I think it's just too much. But I think she escaped, bro, because she was planning the whole time. And if she did die, because I think that's what the other part of the group was letting on, right? Is that they were surprised that Shin didn't notice that the Republic was destroyed. Because they were saying, like, I'm surprised you didn't notice, they just kept saying it. He just was kind of going on about his day. But that's when they started to go into that tangent where he does hear "I will not forget," and I'm in my heart, I'm saying she's dead. I want a reunion between them, but either way it goes, if they don't have a reunion, or if they do, I think that the way they've written this story so far, that they can't drop the ball on this. Like, and I'm saying like the way they do it, regardless, I feel like it's already gonna be like in the feels.
Yeah, I don't. The ending, I think, is gonna be fucking bittersweet kind of situation. I don't want it to be, but I know it will be, because just, again, like you said, how it's written. I don't think the Major's dead because we didn't see the body. And if you don't see the body in 86, it's kind of like Squid Game. Like, they probably didn't die. So, yeah. So with that, I'm going to say she's alive. But I don't know how they're going to swing this. She escaped via, one of the 86 saving her, or... So
it could have been her new crew.
Yeah, her new crew. Like, the 86 got fucked up, but we didn't see her new crew dead either, so we don't know. The mystery is so fucking strong. I just love the way the show is done, man.
It's golden.
To see the fact that this fucking Morpho, I think they call it, right? Mm-hmm. Is this fucking just...
The long range artillery?
Yeah. Is fucking decimating them to the point where the rest of the regions had to come together to come up with a plan. Like, everybody except for the Republic, obviously, had to put their heads together to figure out a way to defeat this thing. And they figured out the only way is to do a dive in there and deep in enemy's territory. And
how they're doing it, because the way that Shin sees it and the way that like it's actually said, right? Because you see he goes out into there where they're saying, well, you're 86, you're a monster, so you got to go defeat the monster anyway. Like, that's how he's perceiving it, because they're saying it, but they're not saying it.
Right.
They're saying, we don't want to send out people who have families. We want to send someone who is exposable or disposable, and you are disposable. You're not part of us in any way. So just go. And it was just like the way that he perceives it, because that's how he sees it. And he's tired of them, like, and we talked about this before, he's tired of them either A, babying them,
pity, yeah.
or B, just not outright saying how they really feel. And that's what's going on. It's basically racism, but a kinder version of it, versus like where they were dealing with it in another country. Yeah. That was just significantly worse.
We speak about that multiple times, about how they do the different forms of racism. Like, they're basically showing that racism with them exists in this world, but the two different kinds that are overt and covert, they are showing both of the extremes extremely well. Obviously, the covert being the Confederacy and the overt being the Republic. I think, to be honest, the covert nature of the Confederacy is a lot more tolerable, because they're like, we don't want you to die, so right. We want you all to just kind of chill. Like, y'all have seen too much, so we're going to just pity you and keep you away from this, or we're going to bring you, a part of this secret mission, because we know that y'all ain't got nothing to lose. But to be honest, like you said, the way he perceived it is, I think, different. Don't mind my chair. It's different from the way that it was actually being worded.
Right.
Because I think
no one wants to be pitied, especially when they're in that position, right? Like,
right.
Like, imagine, and I'm not saying, I don't want to take this too far into this kind of talk, but imagine a slave fighting and earning his freedom, and then deciding, like, I'm a warrior and this is what I do, and saying, I should go back and do this. And you're like, no, right. We're not going to let you. You don't have the right to. We want to take care of you. And it's like, that's not what I do. That's not how I was raised or how I grew up or what I'm used to. You're literally subjecting me to something that I'm going to find harder and tougher to deal with. And yeah, it may be better overall for like them surviving in their life, but it's not better for them mentally, because that's not what they're used to. People
100%
grow accustomed to a certain thing, and that's what they want. And it's like, yeah, it's worse, but they'd rather be on the battlefield.
His excitement when he saw that they were throwing him in his mission and using all the terms the Republic used, the spearhead unit, the unit that's going to go and deep in the enemy territory, blah, blah, blah. You're going to take 15 of your finest people. I was waiting for him to say, yeah, I'm not going to take y'all. I'm just going to take us and we're going to handle this. And we're going to fucking special ops the fuck out this mission and keep it moving. For sure. Like, because that's what I think that would have been better. But I don't know. I feel like that
all of the extra units are going to die.
Yeah, 100%. All of them. And then probably even one or two of our folks. But I don't want that. Okay. Question for you. It's more of a statement. I'm just going to say, I want this to end, and I don't give a fuck what. I want this to end with it being the complete opposite feeling I had with Attack on Titan. I want everybody to survive. I want the Major to survive. I want Shin to survive. I want Attack on Titan. I didn't give a fuck. Everybody could have just died. It didn't matter to me. But this, I want everybody to survive, and I will be okay with it, even if it, because I know.
Yeah, they worked hard.
I know if the writer is writing it, this is not how this is going to end, and everybody's not going to be alive. But I will be okay with it because I feel like the writer would justify it well enough for me to feel okay with them surviving.
I agree with that. I want them all to survive, but I will say, I also want this to take almost like a Promised Neverland manga ending where it can't all be sweet, right?
Yeah, fuck that. I want it to be sweet.
Well, you don't know how the manga ended for Promised Neverland, so
yeah, that's true.
But I want majority of our people to survive, or for them to survive. But like everything's not all good. Like I don't want everything to end all good, because the world can't be all good after this, you know? There has to be ruin. There has to be consequence. And obviously there still will be consequence. It's just more up to us to perceive it. But it's like, I want it to be visual consequence. Like,
they even said they only got 28% of their fucking forces left. Like
I want the Federacy, the Republic, whoever is left, and the other two worlds or countries to come together and be like, we had to fight this. And they're completely destroyed on their own terms, like on own lands, but have to unite as one. That kind of thing. Like something that makes sense for complete destruction of the world. And they show us what was the grand scale of the Legion, like how far did the Legion actually go, and why was so much connection cut off with the rest of the world to where we only know of 3 or 4 major armies fighting off the Legion.
Fucking wild, man. It's so incredibly good. I can't stand it. Let's move on.
Let's do it.
What was next? Blue Period?
Yeah.
Oh man, this exam is stressing me out, bro.
Blue Period, actually. So I didn't actually have to take any art exams. Every school I applied to, they directly admitted me into like the art schools. Which was weird to me because it was like I didn't have to provide any artwork. Yeah,
but why would you need an exam to get, like, I guess it's the culture thing, like, to get into art school?
Like Cleveland Institute of Art is part of Case Western Reserve, which is basically an Ivy League school, right? Cleveland Institute of Art, I would have expected for me to take an exam to get into Cleveland Institute of Art.
Interesting.
But I didn't have to. They just said, well, you have a 3.8 GPA.
Yeah,
we let you in.
And that's exactly how I would figure it would be. Like, why the fuck would you need an art exam? You either go with the credentials of getting accepted to this, and then showing your wherewithal. And then if you're not good enough, or if you don't have it, you will realize that yourself. Like, you're an adult.
Yeah, I think the reality is that, and I think, and I'm only saying this as an art student, and I don't like the fact that they have to wait a year to retake the exam, but I do think that it's good for art students to take an exam, mostly because there is a level difference. When I got into college because I had a higher GPA than some of the other kids. Like, I was one of the only 2 direct admits in my year for Akron for art. But when I got there and I saw the other art students, some of them were leagues above me. Yeah, I was a better drawer. I was better at drawing. But when it came to like the overall, like what we had to do for like art, some of them were just better.
It's so fucking, art is
subjective.
It's more subjective than anything in this entire world. The opinion of a movie is less subjective than fucking art. Like, my terrible ass handwriting somebody can see it and be like, this is the most beautiful shit I've ever seen in my life. Like, it's just, it varies so widely that I don't know if an exam can say, because because this teacher likes this style of art, he's going to say you're good enough to join the school. And then this teacher's like, well, no, this looks like shit. You don't belong here. Well, and then what?
Part of the reason I say that though is that I think if I had to take an exam and I would have saw how like Akron Art Museum was Akron Art School was very strict on following dynamic rules. Like these are the rules for art. This is what you do. If I had taken the exam and they told me I had to do exactly what they said, I'd be like, oh no, I'm not going to school for this major. I would have never gone in with that. I would have straight switched to like software design or some shit like that. Yeah. And I would have just did art as a pastime like I do now. So I think that's why the exam was good, was just for more like understanding how the school structure works. But it's different, it seems, how they're putting it in this school. Like, cause for Blue Period, I would have happily taken that exam. And I would happily gone into a school that said, yes, we want you to do this, but you can do it in your style or your manner. Here's your secret weapon. Do things like this where art is actually a true expression and extension of you, versus like, hey, I need you to do the art the way I want you to do it. And I don't like that.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like you going to art school, I have no experience with this or like at all. But what I would say is, I think it should be something like this. You go to school to gain the knowledge to then pursue your art dream. Yes. Okay. You don't go to be graded on my art, period. Like, my art, again, is subjective. You're not grading me on my art. You're teaching me how to fucking use the tools. You're teaching me how to use the brush. You're teaching me about oil paintings. You're teaching me about clay. You're teaching me this stuff. I'm not going to you for you to say, this picture you drew gets an 50 because it wasn't as quote unquote detailed. I want you to say, this is the tool you're supposed to use. This is how you use it. Now you show me how you're going to use it. And that's what I think art school should be, in my personal opinion. But like having somebody exam grade my self-portrait that I decide that I want to draw to look like Mickey Mouse, you don't have the fucking right. I don't know.
Right. I agree. Funny enough, art school did not teach you how to use anything. They just said, here's what you got to do. And they just give you tools, or you bring your own tools and you just do it.
And how the fuck is that school? You know what I'm saying? Like, that's not school. You're just telling me to do something that you want.
What they told us, and I agree with this philosophy too, that art students are not just artists, right? They're problem solvers. You give a problem solver something and you figure out how to solve the problem. So like, one of my favorite projects was in 3D design. I didn't even know I liked sculpture, and I always loved this project because it blew my mind. We went in, one of the first projects we had was we had to make a paper structure that could hold as many bricks as possible. One of the classes used 10 pieces of paper and was able to hold 30 bricks with 10 pieces of paper. And they solved the problem, right? But my favorite project was, they said, hey, you can't spend $10, right? Without spending more than $10, I need you to make a sculpture. Top 3 sculptures goes into the Akron Art Museum. I used 2 umbrellas and a bunch of string lights. 3 umbrellas and a bunch of string lights. And basically what I made is like this UFO looking figure. I put the lights inside the umbrella, and because it hid the strings of the lights, it looked like you were looking up and looking into stars. I actually went into top 3 and I got put into the Akron Art Museum for it.
Dope.
But the thing is that like they present you with something that is like, how do you solve this, right? If Polo says, I need a logo for this image, right? This is what I want the logo for. They give me an idea, but how do I put that idea together that is something that people want to digest? If you say, hey, Montel, I need you to design this magazine, how do I put those pictures and those words together in the magazine to make it look like something that makes sense? So that's why they were saying like artists aren't just artists, they're problem solvers.
Okay, so let me
I get that, but I don't think that's the grand scope of being an artist.
No, not at all. And let me just tell you, I'm gonna be 100% honest with you. All of that you said before you got to the logo and the magazine analogy, I didn't understand any of it. Like, problem solver, what the fuck kind of problems are you solving? You're an artist. You do what you want to display to the world. The world sees it, they either like it or they don't. But then I forgot to even think about this, which is I guess on me. I guess in my simplistic mind, I didn't think about the career goals you can have. Like a graphic designer, you have to abide by what the client wants, essentially, right? Same thing with if you're a magazine, artist or whatever. Like you have editor, you have to abide by what your editor in chief wants. So that 100% makes sense to me now, because before I'm like, problem. I'm not solving no fucking problem. I'm doing what I want to do.
I saw your face, bro. I feel the same, because I didn't like that analogy either. But like on the business side, it does make a lot of sense.
Yes.
But as an artist who wants to do what they want to do, I'd rather just do the art I want to do and not do what other people want. I don't mind. Like what Lee does is literally the problem solving aspect of being a graphic designer or an artist. And while I do like that, it's not what I'm not a what do they call a flyer designer. That's not my thing. Right. So
which takes a skill and problem solving ability, to be honest, because you have to assume what exactly the client wants.
No, I did make some dope flyers for Phelan Studios, but we don't do that no more.
Yeah, that was back in the day. But I fucking 100% makes sense to me now. Thank you for that, because I was ready to be like, no, I'm not letting you tell me you're a problem solver when you're a fucking artist. You just do what you want and you share, and they don't like it or you don't. But all in all, to say that Blue Period is fucking great. Now, the reason why Blue Period is great is because they also offers like the problems that our main character has is so fucking endearing, because what the teacher was saying when she was going over the people's weaknesses, I'm like, that's crazy, because that's absolutely the same thing I was thinking even before she said it. Because like that is his weakness. He's not creative. He's not creative. He's just trying to please instead of have fun. And then he was talking to one of his friends, and when that conversation between his friends was one of the most beautiful things ever.
The idea of being engulfed in something that you truly have passion for. The coolest thing about being an artist is that you have to be a little self-centered to be an artist. Mm-hmm. At least a good one, right? Like no artist who has no inner like sense of self-worth is ever really going to be a good artist,
right?
Because you need to put a reflection of yourself in the art. Mm-hmm. And that's why, like, I don't know if you saw, but they're bringing back a lot of Basquiat's artwork. They're doing a whole new exhibit for him to like kind of give some light on his life before he passed. And that he was someone who's very introspective. If you can't put out a story that relates to you and to the others like you, or people who want to kind of really know what life is like for you, then you're not really going to put out a message that people care to see. Thus, you don't have that self-centeredness or that spark that makes people want to see, or you don't have that spark to make people understand what's special about you. That's essentially what it is. That's
exactly why that weakness portion was so great. Like him to learn that, because again, they dropped hints in the show at the very beginning how much of a poser he actually was, like how he pretends and hangs around his friends, these friends that aren't quite into the same thing he is, but oddly enough are extremely supportive of him and just super actual dope friends that knew that even from their perspective that he was just this poser that was just trying to please everybody, that was trying to put on this smile for everybody, that just didn't feel legit or didn't feel entirely him. And I think that has been the entire like premise of this entire show, which is so good, man. So good. And now we finally are seeing that. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he's going to change that into. Because like I said, that conversation that he had with the dude that barely talks in the show was the fucking strongest conversation in the entire show, period. Like that shit almost made me my eyes water a little. I'm like, that shit is deep, man. He's like, when we saw you talking about something that you enjoy, it made me shake with excitement, and I'm like, that's some real shit, man. What a real one.
Yeah. Also seeing his mom,
everybody else, bro,
I'm excited for him. And then what's his name, Yakushi Shoto or whatever, the quiet dude. Mm-hmm. He taps him on the fist and says, "I'll see you later." And he's just like, he's a little shaken up, but he's like, "I'll see you later." And he looks just noticeably a little bit more happy.
Yep.
And that's the beauty of the artwork for this, is that the characters are so simplistic that it's very easy to make them noticeably different and happier with very simple line work. I'm
glad you mentioned his mom, because that shit was dope.
She was like, let's go, bro. Let's go.
She's like, go get him. I'm like, oh man, it's good. Blue Period is fucking phenomenal.
For sure.
We could go into Jobless, but I mean, it was a good episode. This episode is running kind of long.
Yeah, Jobless Reincarnation was another amazing episode.
Yeah,
but just love your siblings and treat your family right.
Facts. Give all the love to your family. They're important, no matter what. Good episode of Jobless, though. I cannot wait to see, now that the entire mission has changed, now that he has an understanding of what's actually going on. And I love the conversation with Aries and how Aries has just basically grown up. She's like, look, I'm just here to help you, to be with you, essentially, without saying that. And I thought that was dope, even though they're cousins, which is fucking weird. But it's just
kind of like far apart cousins.
Yeah,
cousins.
Yeah, very weird. But I did love the interaction that Paul had with Rugert.
Yep.
Like, because at first he was like, "Yo, what the fuck?" I mean, then
and Paul, like, even the barkeep who was told, like, look him in the face, bro.
Yeah.
That in itself, that whole moment made the episode for me. Because it was like you look up and you see his face, and he's just trying to figure out why did that face look so familiar. And they go through that backstory as to why that face is familiar. I was like, ooh,
speak.
It's too good.
That's
good.
A fact.
It was a very good episode. Very, very good. This episode for Jobless Reincarnation was one of the most emotionally impactful episodes, because there's revelations all around.
Facts between every character. And Geese is incredible, man. What the fuck? I never knew him to be this good, but he's actually incredible. So
we've been sleeping on him.
Yeah, I thought he was just like kind of a throwaway, but no, he's the most important character of this episode, to be honest, because he had that conversation with Paul that made Paul think about. Yeah.
And you know what's crazy about it is that he made Paul realize, but when Paul talked to Rudius, he realized that not only was he kind of right, but he was still wrong. That Rudius could have done more, but also he is still an 11-year-old. Even if he is like a 35-year-old and 11-year-old's body.
Hey, right? Don't know that.
Like, it's still like he can still only handle what an 11-year-old can handle.
Right.
We don't technically. I would assume that even on the emotional level, he's not going to technically be the same as what he was before as an adult. He's still a child. So there's still a lot of context with that to say, like, he's still an 11-year-old and he's doing the best he can at that. And even if he's not doing his best, he's still outshining those around him at that age,
Yeah. And what makes sense to me, but I wish didn't, right? I wish they just had found a way to relay this information, is Rudius was in the middle of the shit. He didn't see what happened outward. It wasn't coming towards him while he was at home with Paul. So then he can see that everybody else is being teleported. He had no idea. It was him and the source, the fucking eye of the storm, relative. So to speak. So with him being in and out of the storm, he had no idea everybody else got teleported. So I wish they would have kind of touched on that just a little bit more. Maybe dove a little bit deeper into that. Like, I had no idea, because all I know is boom, and I'm gone. I didn't see anything else that happened, because it was literally like a storm expanding outward, but from him. You know what I'm saying? So I wish that could have been touched on, but I understand why it's not, because it's like, how could he? How could he know?
Yeah. So. And I would assume Rudius knows the storm started where he was, but why was that's not something that he necessarily wants to bring up. He can't bring up that he might have started the storm, or that he may have done something that egged the storm on, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. All right, man. So with that, I think that'll be a wrap of episode 125 of Mic Check Waifu.
All right. We just finished talking about Jobless Reincarnation. Let us know what you think about this latest episode. Did it hit you in the feels? We also talked about Blue Period. As an artist, do you think you're a problem solver, or are you more on just I want to do art as an art? Like, I don't want to be judged like that. We also talked about 86. Man, this anime is killing us, bro. It might be our anime of the year, as we talked about before, but we also talked about anime of the year as we did on Anime After Dark with Clubhouse with Bland Anime and Worst Gen Podcast. Let us know what you think about that. And then we also talked about Platinum End.
And
we had our break with a great song curated by our DJ Polo, Born Fly. Get to know Mic Check Waifu is a great question. Let us know. What was that question? Boom boom. Which street? No, that's not what we did. Well, let us know what you think about our question for anime or get to know Mic Check Waifu. And we also had some great questions on Twitter. We also had our episode of the week with Polo's being World's Finest Assassin and mine's being Hero Banished from the Heroes Party. And then we also talked about Ranking of Kings, which is coming into my weekly anime list. And it's also pretty good. Would have rather put this over some other stuff that we watched so far, like maybe Platinum End. And also, once again, thank you to our Patreon producers. Thank you for the new producer. We appreciate you coming by and listening to us every week. And that's been episode 125 of Mic Check Waifu.
I'm at Polo Born Fly on all social media.
I'm at King Teliano on all social media.
You can follow our social medias at Mic Check Waifu on Twitter and at Mic Check Waifu on Instagram. And as always, Mic Check.
I think that's the best echo I heard in a while. That might have been a Cleveland echo.
I hate you.